This isn't on. Hello?
Hello? Okay, there we go. So first of all, thank you all for attending ABI.NY's second annual Women in Entrepreneurship and Innovation Summit. I'm Geeta Shroff. I'm one of the co-leads of ABI.NY. I'm new to the organization, and we're looking forward to having another one next year. So I hope all of you are really enjoying this event and learning a lot and sharing and meeting other wonderful women. I'm also CEO of ChalkSense LLC, which is a boutique management consultancy in the artificial intelligence and data analytics space. And what I thought would be an interesting topic would be to share some experiences about artificial intelligence and how it's weaved into my life, and how maybe if you're toying with the idea of getting into the field, how you could get started too. So as part of the industry sessions track, we had discussed that there are three main questions that we wanted speakers to answer. So one is, what do you do? Why do you do it? And the third question is then, how can others do it? And so that's basically why I'll be talking about this. And let me first start with the why, because that's something that my whole life and business and career has been driven by, is always the why. So a few years ago, I had my pancreas, my gallbladder, my spleen, all removed because I was dealing with a chronic condition called pancreatitis, all because of a gene mutation that I have. And so you all are giving me question mark looks of how is she standing here? How is she alive and okay and looking fairly healthy? I'm now type 1 diabetic, but really what I attribute all of it to is medical innovation, life sciences innovation, and the wonders of that. I have multiple devices on me right now. I have my glucose sensor. I have my insulin pump on my stomach. I have the Fitbit, right, to keep track of our exercising that many of us have. And literally, devices are percolating into our everyday lives and helping to keep patients alive. And that is something that really drives me. And so even though I have a background in computer science, I graduated with my bachelor's and master's in computer science from Carnegie Mellon University several years ago now. During grad school and shortly after, I was a CTO of artificial intelligence startups and other industries. And then I started my own management consultancy, primarily as a prototype development consultancy to help other startups and small businesses that didn't have technical talent on their teams yet. And so we did rapid prototype development for them. But, and so then through my different experiences in tech, I've been able to work with different small companies, large companies on artificial intelligence and technology-related projects. But slowly over the years, especially through my own personal experiences, what really drives me is life sciences innovation. And so slowly, ChalkSense, my consultancy, we moved into the space of life sciences management consulting. And we slowly started from prototype development to then helping on several other aspects of life sciences innovations, ranging from anything from helping with business plan development to marketing and branding strategy and building their websites for those initiatives, to helping with due diligence, especially from the tech side, for investment groups and state and private investment groups, as well as IP strategy, right, and product development strategy. And so that was a great area for me to realize that technology and tech skills can be used on so many different fronts and aspects of different businesses. But really, the game-changing moment for me was when I realized that for life sciences businesses, the main central focus or the backbone of life sciences businesses is regulatory strategy and the regulatory data. And to give you a little bit just of exactly what regulatory research and regulatory strategy entails is literally people have to go to, like the regulatory professionals will go through different clinicaltrials.gov type websites, FDA related websites to get information about what are the other approved products in this space. What are the FDA regulations that my new medical device innovation will have to go through? so many different questions, so many guidances that are available, and millions of lines of reading through abstracts and summaries of research papers in the field, and what are the animal studies that have been done, what are the human clinical trial results that have come out and been published. And it's not just limited to all the other wealth of information on the web, but also information trickling into regulatory professionals' inboxes every day on a daily basis from the FDA, from the NIH, from the different patient advocacy groups, from different global health organizations. And I'm just mentioning just a trickle of the different data sources out there when you're planning a regulatory strategy. And it's just so much that it's a data overload, it's an information overload problem. And sure enough, when we did further market research with regulatory professionals, we found out that it is an overworked industry. On average, the Regulatory Association Professional Society, they come out with a yearly compensation-related report about regulatory professionals, and it shows statistically that at least regulatory professionals are working at least 8 to 10 hours extra per week overtime, just doing all of this data research and strategy and planning based on the regulatory intelligence. And when we talk to the regulatory professionals, when we talk to several different stakeholders in the life sciences community, we realize that everybody across the board wants to reduce costs, wants to reduce the time spent on regulatory research-related tasks so that they can then spend more time on strategy and planning. So our team of artificial intelligence, regulatory affairs professionals, management consulting professionals, basically have been working together to develop solutions for this intensive data overload problem in the regulatory industry. And we've been striving to build solutions that are very community driven, right? So we've been having several conversations with the FDA. We've been getting very involved with patient advocacy groups. We've been getting involved with different trade organizations. We've been holding events and conferences in conjunction with others. We've been continuously growing our team of experts as well as we build on our solutions. And so far, what we've come up with is the regulatorygenie.com platform. It's a SaaS-based platform, software as a service, and it is here to basically help regulatory professionals and startups and entrepreneurs and business executives when they are putting together their regulatory strategies and plans in getting a new life sciences innovation to market. And so basically in the first version of the technology, we have multiple patent pending artificial intelligence, deep learning related algorithms that have already been started in development mode. But the first version of the technology is a semantic meta search technology that searches all the different regulatory related databases out there. And so in just a few steps, the user just has to input, say, their medical area indication, disease that they're trying to target. They may have to input their field of research. Is it a robotics type of technology, or is it an artificial intelligence related technology, or is it a therapeutic, a small molecule, right? And so they just put in some of this basic information, and then within seconds, we generate that semantic meta search for them that is highly tailored to this particular life sciences domain. So we're more powerful than several other technologies out there because we are particularly targeting this domain, and we've built specialized algorithms for the domain. And so the business case, it works out, right? Where we're decreasing the time spent on the research tasks, we're lowering the costs, we're getting all this valuable information to different stakeholders so that they can plan out time-saving, cost-saving, and more competitive strategies sooner than later, and get their products approved on time, right? But let it come back to my personal passion, right, of helping patients and getting medicines to patients quicker and at a lower cost. So the end goal is that if we reduce the costs and time for the big corporations that are creating the drugs and that are bringing the medical devices to market, hopefully the pricing of those products will also go down. And hopefully, if they are able to get it to market sooner, the products are going to reach the patients sooner, right? So it's so many different stakeholders in the ecosystem are benefiting from all different sides. So we look at it as a win-win situation. And this project is something that really, it takes our expertise of AI and machine learning, but it's tying in with a personal passion for life sciences innovation. And so now that you have some background about what I do and why I do it, I thought I'd get into the more interesting part of the conversation today, which is how can you get involved in the field? And so today, artificial intelligence and machine learning, we usually talk about it as career paths for data scientists or software engineers or quantitative researchers or more technology-related disciplines. But the truth is that anybody in any industry can get involved from literally from the day that they want to, because even domain expertise, for example, regulatory professionals, right? They, in their wildest imagination, they may not have thought that they were going to be working on an artificial intelligence-related project. But one of the core integral stakeholders of our innovations are regulatory affairs advisors and professionals. And they are driving our testing. They are driving many of the business insights and the outcomes of our research. And I would say we could not build our models without them, right? So literally so many different stakeholders, and there's so many different career opportunities other than even the domain experts. So from an IP standpoint, the IP strategist has to come up with what are potential areas that an artificial intelligence technology could be protected. Or sales and marketing, you have to be able to sell the products and technologies. So sales and marketing folks have to have a little bit of understanding, at least, of how the technology is working and how it can bring benefit to the end customers. HR-related folks, when they're trying to hire good quality technical and non-technical talent to work on artificial intelligence-related projects, they have to have a good skill set and background in understanding how to even bring on the talent in the first place, and then how to keep them there. And so many other career paths that are possible. And so I say that, of course, anyone can get involved in artificial intelligence. So now the rest of the presentation, I'm going to try to keep it a little bit more interactive. And so first, before getting into the interactive part of it, there's some advice that I've been given over the years by advisors. So these are venture capitalists or people that are very high up in their companies, and now they like to give back to us younger ones who are still in the process of learning. And so what they always push for is, if you can find a project that lies at the intersection of your passion, something that lies at the intersection of your talent or knowledge or skill set, something where you can contribute back and make sure the project is moving forward, right? So the talent. And a project that is bringing impact. Now the definition of impact is up to you, and some of the future slides do talk about some ways of thinking about impact. But if you can find a project that lies at the intersection of all three of these things, it's a very great place to be. And you will be very happy in the work that you do, very satisfied. And it's something that can be achieved. And so these are some tips, actionable tips of how to get there, especially for artificial intelligence related projects. So the first step is ideation. And as you're ideating, and it all starts with the dream, right? It's 1% inspiration and then 99% perspiration, but you still need that 1%, right, for the 99% to even happen. So it's a very important part of the process. And one step of even coming up with ideas is knowing what a potential artificial intelligence development process looks like, so that you can start thinking about it that way. So at ChalkSense, we're mainly a B2B, so a business-to-business services company. So we don't work on as many consumer products in like artificial intelligence consumer products like speech technologies or those type of products. We work on more business solutions. So the process that we generally use is, look at the boxes in blue. Those are very business problem-driven questions. So we're trying to understand, what are the needs in the business? What are the goals? What are the priorities? So that's the inputs. And then the end result of the artificial intelligence part of it is then, what are the end outputs going to need to look like? what are the actionable items that we need to be working on from the artificial intelligence algorithms? And once we have those inputs and outputs that are required, then we start thinking, oh, okay, now for the items in green. Those are more of the technical parts now. So what are the data sources that could help answer the business questions? What are the tools out there that could help us get to those answers as quick as possible, or in a more scalable approach as possible, or as needed for that particular business question? Who are the stakeholders or talent pieces people that we would need to involve to get to those answers? And then comes the very technical parts, right, of cleaning the data, of processing the data, pre-processing. So removing, if it's an NLP task, like removing stop words or things like that. And so then basically then building and testing the models, coming up with insights, and then keeping your stakeholders in the loop, trying to get their perspectives and feedback. And it's an iterative process, though. We're not going to get the model right on the first shot. And you're going to have to constantly improve and iterate. And then finally, when everybody's happy with the results and feels that it's valuable, then you come out with your outputs and actionable steps that can be done, and the project moves forward using artificial intelligence. So that's just a little something to get you thinking about the process. And so I have a little activity for all of you. It's to think about what are some problems that you're passionate about. What are some areas in your companies or in your daily lives, or areas where you see gaps or problems, especially problems that could be solved by data. One way of thinking about it is also thinking about like an easy way to start thinking about problems is think about in your daily tasks, what is that one or two tasks that you hate to do? That's the most mundane, boring, slowest task for you. What is that task? And could you do anything about it to make it faster? Could artificial intelligence maybe help you do that task faster? So could you harness artificial intelligence as an assistant to help you reach your goals so that you can focus on the more interesting parts of your work? That's one way to start thinking about ideas. So maybe take a few minutes, talk to the person next to you, meet a new person, and share your perspectives on some of the problems that you face. So I'll give you a few minutes for that.
I'm Joanna. Hi. My name's Kenny. Nice to meet you. Actually, the current program called Co-op. It's a nonprofit organization that's funded by Google. And what they do is that they reach out to students that are like graduates and current students who are about to graduate and fill them in with skills on digital marketing, soft skills, and hard skills. So throughout the program, we learn about SEO, SEM, Google Analytics. So with that being said, the main goal is to get us in, like, in terms of job placement, but it's more than just that. I feel like they help you just build your character and just be more confident. I think a lot of us, we lack that. So, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I've been doing it since February. I've heard it from a friend of a friend, but I wasn't convinced about it. That was like a year and a half ago, and then when living into it, my professor actually contacted me and told me about the opportunity and how that a lot of students past degree benefited from it and are happy and content for at the current moment. So he told me, give it a try and see what they have to offer. So I went in for the presentation and they sold me. So I applied and yeah. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, of course. It's great because I'm learning every day. It's a lot, but it's interesting where digital marketing is taking next step. Yeah, it really is. And how about you?
Okay. So you are with the bigger with the adults.
Yeah, that's right. I'm UX UI designer.
Okay.
Me myself, I am professional. For 20 years, so I understand it's super special. And it provides me with loads of like like 7 store and the brand and the whole range.
Oh, yeah.
To then So developing an app that's profitable for both the user and the provider. It's basically raw cost, it's open table for the industry, and you make money every time.
What is the company's idea?
Well, me myself, I'm in the industry.
Yeah.
And I saw how much the providers are still opposed to doing paper checks that way. And then everyone wants
Yes, that's how it is now.
doors are closed, lights are out, you're not making money. You're on this app, you're able to make money, you're able to call, ever have to get clients to get and they don't have that time available, they give you other times, other days, and look, what if you open up the whole calendar and look at yours and just choose on your own, having a CEO,
Speaking to someone, yeah.
give the right numbers,
Yeah.
I found out that, in the tech market, their attention is
Yeah.
so it's not just about filling out a chair. It's a community.
Yeah.
For me, it's very personal to get my hair. Another woman's hair, your makeup, your waxing.
Yes. Yes, it is.
All right, so has everyone had a chance to think about problems that they're facing? Okay, good. So, so just sort of keep munching on those problems, maybe one problem, multiple problems in your mind as we go through this. So then the second task is, well, first you already have a problem that you're passionate about, so that's check. Now the second task is, how do we measure impact, right? And so I usually at NYU, I teach this in their executive education class, and it's usually a 3-hour-long class, and we have exercises as well as part of that. But I'm going to try to do as much as I can in a few minutes. So, so some questions to be asked are, who are the relevant stakeholders that would be dealing with this problem? How big of a problem or need is it to them? Is it a pain point to them, or is it a good to have to them? Right, a must have or need. Another aspect is thinking about market sizes. So even within the market, is there a particular segment that's going to be the easiest to get to, or the lowest cost to reach, your fastest path to market per se, or a particular segment where it's going to be very easy to build partnerships. So thinking about different types of market sizes and pros and cons of them. And then thinking about the cost to get to that customer, and whether that cost to acquire that customer is less than or greater than the lifetime revenue that you'll be getting from that customer. So you don't want to be spending $1 million on just getting the customer if you're only getting, say, $100,000 from that customer, right? So just sort of thinking about those numbers and the potential for that. Now, are there any industry-specific questions? So for example, in the life sciences industry, figuring out for a new medical or a pharmaceutical drug, what is the regulatory risk that this drug will face to get FDA approval? You don't want to spend millions of dollars on all these different clinical trials and studies and getting this drug close to approval and then realize that you were doing something wrong, you didn't use the right incentives, and there's already competing products out there that are better than your company, got to market faster, used a faster regulatory route, and now you have to repeat some studies because you did some manufacturing using the wrong version of the chemical, and then you did animal studies using the wrong version, but then your human studies used a different version of the chemical, or you're not going to get reimbursement now because there are too many products in the space. So I mean, multiple different potential risks can occur. Even once in market, you could get product recalls, and so what is the likelihood of a product recall happening for a particular innovation? And you have to think about all of these questions up front, and that's a domain-specific question. Other industries all have their own questions. And then something that many people don't talk about is also, what are your personal goals for the project? Is it something that you want to learn from? Is it something where you want to network with others? Is it something where you want to make a lot of money from that project? What are your personal goals and personal driving factors for getting that project to the next step? So those are just data-driven questions that you want to be thinking about. Get all your data points together. And so the next activity is thinking about what are the indicators or data or measures that you would consider important for you to consider whether the problems that you were thinking about in the previous exercise, whether it's solving that problem is going to be impactful. And there's some more examples here. So for example, if it's like a social responsibility program for the environment, another example is how many trees were planted per year, will be planted per year, right? So that's another metric. And so, I mean, different industries will have their own questions, but these are also some examples. So I guess pair again with your neighbor and maybe share insights with each other about what those metrics could be for you.
Could you repeat Geeta's question you wanted us to
So basically, when you're thinking about a problem, how do you measure the impact of solving that problem? Is it a viable problem to work on? So it's not just the passion, but remember in the original case, it was if you can find a problem that's at the intersection of passion, impact, and talent, that could be a potential viable project to work on, artificial intelligence project or otherwise. And so now sort of thinking about the problems that you were facing, and you were thinking, oh, I want to solve that problem, but now thinking about, is it viable to actually solve that problem? Is it going to bring impact if I solve that problem?
Breakout session inside of your breakout.
Yes. All right, so I hope all of you have had a chance to think about potential measures or indicators that you would consider before you jump on the next artificial intelligence big problem that you want to solve. And you'll think about it, even your own artificial intelligence or data problem, you're going to be thinking in a data-driven manner before jumping on that problem. So that's one aspect. And now the next three bullets of experimentation, networking, and giving back, I'll combine them in the next 3 slides before moving on to the last exercise. So, so now that you have a problem that you're passionate about, you think it's impactful, now what, right? So it's a valid problem to work on. So now you need to figure out what your next steps are. And so the first step that I generally use is experimentation. And that basically involves a lot of learning if you don't know about the domain yet, or if there's still some big question marks to you. And there are many different ways to learn. So for artificial intelligence projects, if it's more from a technical aspect, there's so many books out there, like Intro to Artificial Intelligence, The Modern Approach. I'm not sure if I'm butchering the name, but there are several books out there. Even if you do a quick Quora search, you'll get several reliable sources for great artificial intelligence books to be reading. There are classes that you can take, meetup groups that you can be attending, different videos, online resources as well. So many different packages to try out. And then once you start learning, you can start tinkering with your own projects and experimental ideas. Maybe you're trying to get closer to that minimum viable product. So I always call it minimum viable prototype because it's not a product until you've gotten stakeholder feedback. But basically tinkering and being ready to fail fast and keep learning and keep that iterative cycle going as you're learning and experimenting on your problem. And then the next phase is really networking, and sometimes it's combined with the learning phase as well. So for example, in your workplace, maybe you'll find colleagues to network with and get their feedback and advice, mentors. You can find faculty and teachers of the classes that you're taking, or even reach out cold to experts in the local universities that you'd be surprised. Sometimes they're willing to help the broader community and answer their questions if they're knowledgeable in that field. Then abi.ny, thank you all for attending our events and being a part of this community and making it richer with all your presence. And so feel free to give back and share and exchange ideas and thoughts and learn from one another. And then you can follow up with authors of articles, of publications. People are very, very helpful. You'd be surprised. And people love to talk about their work. So, so you can never go wrong there. And then trade shows, conferences as well, especially in the domain of the problem that you're trying to solve. So if it's like an auto industry project, you want to go to auto conferences. If it's a life sciences project, sure, go to the AI conferences also to learn and exchange feedback, but to learn about your customer, your stakeholders, and their needs and priorities, that's definitely, you have to go to the life sciences conferences for that. So and there's so many other resources, and feel free to reach out to any of us anytime if we can help make a connection or point you to someone to get started on your own AI project. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about giving back. You can learn so much from the process of giving back, just as much as, or even more actually, than what you're giving back to the community. And so some of the ways of giving back are you can start organizing events in the artificial intelligence space. That's a great way to start networking with stakeholders in the community that are already involved in artificial intelligence. You can start from all the learning phase that you did. You'd be surprised, but by the end of that learning phase, experimentation phase, you're going to be an expert. So you can start writing about all that expertise that you've developed over time. What was your learning process? Write about that, because other people can gain from that. Then you can mentor others with your newfound knowledge. Can be a speaker at events on AI. And the last point is get involved with policy even. So I believe some other speakers brought this up as well, is we don't have enough women representation in the artificial intelligence community. And this actually, it's going to be a bigger problem as artificial intelligence sort of becomes a platform for the rest of the world. Right now, we call it like a tech platform, but later it's going to be the tech and artificial intelligence platform that connects to every industry vertical, right? And even cases like robotics are very tied to artificial intelligence. And if we have robots that are designing women to be represented in a certain way, or if we have chatbots that are learning from random public forums and conversations, and then learning from those conversations, and then when they talk, they're talking in a degrading manner about women, or when women are getting suggestions for career ads to junior level positions, when they're much more talented than those junior level positions, and men are getting suggestions to the management or executive level positions because of recommendation engines that are factoring gender into the recommendations. That's a problem, right? And if we don't have enough women participating in policy discussions or creating their own artificial intelligence projects or being driving forces and influencers even within their companies regarding decisions to be made about what are the priorities for correcting bias or for error correction in these different algorithms, or for even suggesting design, activist design, right? If we don't have enough women on those different forefronts, it's going to be a problem, and we're going to be living in a world run by a lot of artificial intelligence related bots and recommendation engines that are further limiting women. So it's important, just from an activism standpoint as well. So there's a lot to learn even from the policy angle as you're building your AI projects. And so activity number 3 is basically thinking about it, and you don't have to do it right now even, but just thinking about what are your next steps now as you start solving AI problems in your daily lives and at work or starting your own companies. What are your next steps in experimentation on the networking side, and on the giving back side. We don't have time to do the exercise here, actually, so we'll keep moving. This is the last slide. So yeah, and if you still have question marks about what your next steps are, you can get started today, literally. You have artificial intelligence opportunities right here in front of you. So my company, ChalkSense, we're an artificial intelligence related consultancy, and we primarily work with part-time talent. So we're always looking for part-time experts on different fronts that can be consultants on government contracts or industry contracts or for startups or different fronts. And especially for the Regulatory Genie project, we're looking for different people interested from marketing to sales to technology development, full stack programmers, data scientists, so all across the board of people that are interested at the intersection of artificial intelligence and life sciences. So feel free to reach out to me anytime about any of that. As well as on the abi.ny side, we're a new organization. We just started earlier last year, so it's just been about 1.5 years now for us. And as you can see, we're a growing, expanding community exponentially, which is a good thing. But with that, we want to bring even larger services and events and programming of value to the community. And for that, we need more hands to make that possible. And artificial intelligence being a big driver in the tech space right now, women in tech community as well, we would love to have more programming on that front. So if you are interested in getting involved with abi.ny or artificial intelligence, feel free to get involved by just reaching out again to me. You can connect on LinkedIn as well. And we can look into getting you involved as a volunteer or a community organizer, or if your company believes you can host us or sponsor us for an event, that would be great. If you have you basically need to have a speaker and also a topic in mind, and we can make it happen. So literally, whatever you want to do and whenever you want to get started, just go and get them. Go for it. So with that, I guess I can open it up to questions.
Why did you name the company ChalkSense?
ChalkSense. So that actually was 4 years ago when we were basically helping companies to chalk it out sensibly. So this is initially geared to startups to help them chalk out their ideas sensibly through minimum viable prototypes and iterative prototypes. But slowly now the company messaging has evolved into chalking out sense from data sensibly. So,
Can I ask you just about your personal schedule? How do you time to be a professor and also to run your own company?
Oh, I'm not a professor.
Oh.
I'm just like sometimes teach at NYU. Yeah, just as like a guest lecturer.
Still, it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's primarily company. Yep. 25 hours of the day. Yep.
I was interested in the intersections between the tech industry and academia, because I teach in a college and we use technology of various kinds for in educational purposes. And I was wondering, is there any intersection with your company with academia in any way?
So we have definitely worked on projects in the edtech space. We've helped startups with their minimum viable prototype needs, as well as in putting together their tech infrastructure, especially startups that don't have a CTO. So we've come in, helped with consulting, getting their teams on board with many of the normal standard technology processes, and then helped edtech. We're also very involved with education in general, like as a outreach. So by teaching at places like NYU and other opportunities to connect, especially with women in tech groups at universities, to help encourage more women to get involved in STEM career paths. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes?
Do you have a co-founder, or did you do it by yourself, and what motivated you to do this?
So I didn't do it by myself. It's everything is always a team effort. I don't have a co-founder though, so I'm sole president and CEO. But really, it's all because of our consultants, our advisors, our different partners, and different collaborators on different projects that's made all the initiatives possible.
long has this company been?
About 4 years now. So early 2012 is when it started.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So in addition to healthcare, which you're obviously involved, are you involved in any other industry?
So 3 primary industries right now. One is life sciences, one is education, and then the other is tech. And that's our broad industry because tech applies to every industry. But that's how we show that we have focus. All right then, well thank you all so much for joining and feel free to connect anytime.